Si comes tienes que lavar tu plato, Firulais. Anda, enjuágalo bien. No me gruñas. A ver, con la esponja eso. Y enjuaga bien que luego deja todo jabonoso. Eso así, muy bien, aunque de malas.
Welcome to the motherfucking lady. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. Another installment of what is fast become the most popular segment here on the channel, Ring IQ Hate Mail. In my previous live stream, we talked about a prevalent rumor that's been going around about Claressa Shields and her contemporaries, or male contemporaries, and how it's said that she's fornicated with several of them. They're saying she fucked Shakur Stevenson and Bruce Carrington. Talked about it in passing on my last live stream, though I didn't really spend a lot of time on it. Not enough that anybody should be angry about what I said, but to that, Legendary Boxing said, you can't say anything about her boxing, so you just proved her point. What was her point? Claressa Shields recently said that people can't say much about her boxing career, so they instead talk about her romantic life and things outside of the ring, which would be true if I hadn't already done hundreds upon hundreds of videos about Claressa Shields before anybody, including Legendary Boxing, was interested in her. I've been talking about Claressa Shields' boxing career since she debuted as a professional. I likely know more about her and her opponents, when and what happened, what belts it was for, at what weights. And that's what makes a comment like this all the more annoying, because Legendary Boxing knows I've already spent a good amount of time talking about Claressa Shields' boxing career and dissecting it, where he thinks it can't be dissected at all when I say that she fought Danielle Perkins, a prospect with only a handful of fights who had never fought in a 10-rounder and was coming off a year of inactivity for quote-unquote undisputed. Don't forget she was 42 years old at the time. I don't know how many times I've brought this up and how it accents the lack of depth in the divisions where Claressa campaigns. Where was Legendary Boxing for all of those segments and all of those videos? Or did he willfully choose not to speak because there's not a lot that you can say? If I said that same critique about any other boxer under those circumstances, I don't think I'd get much pushback from Legendary Boxing. I mean, I haven't. When I do talk about her career and how it's very easy to go undisputed in divisions where there's nobody to fight, where most of the titles are vacant and the alphabet organizations are gift wrapping them for you. 3 vacant titles in the heavyweight division, 3 more in the middleweight division, and 3 more at junior middle, and at least 1 at light heavy. Talk about it all the time, and I seldom ever see Legendary Boxing say anything about it, because what's he gonna say? It's all true. Chose a very convenient time to speak up. That's essentially what a straw man argument is. He can't attack any of the points that I've raised in the past. All he can do is gravitate towards a separate argument that he thinks is easier to win.
Bitch shit.
Weak shit. Like Claressa Shields' undisputed runs. She didn't face much adversity, much competition, because there wasn't much. Why do you guys need so desperately for people like me to like her? Why do we periodically have to do this when it comes to Claressa Shields? If you think that she's the greatest woman boxer of all time, that should be enough for you, but it's not. You're not going to be satisfied until people like me say the same thing. Well, I'm not going to. The DEI quote, as I like to call her. You only think highly of her because of the one thing you two have in common. Let's not pretend this isn't tribalism.
Y'all know it is.
And let's not pretend that this doesn't come from a need for validation, because if you think she's the greatest woman of all times, you don't need to argue about it periodically. You don't need to worry about what I think, but you do.
No, you do.
You know that I actually think Eva Mendes has a lot more sex appeal than Jennifer Lopez, for example, and Jennifer Lopez has always been more popular than Eva, though if you ask me, I would go with Eva.
What the fuck does that have to do with anything?
That I don't need anybody else's input to validate my opinion.
I don't need for anybody to come in and agree with me. I'm gonna think what I think irrespective of what they think, whereas this guy and other guys like him,
why are you mad?
They walk around so fucking mad that there are guys like me, they don't think Claressa's got that great a resume. They don't think her undisputed runs are anything to write home about.
Why are you mad?
I'm willing to say the quiet part out loud. The only reason some of you guys think Claressa's all that in a bag of chips is because of the one thing you have in common, expecting the rest of the world to care. Your race. But if some other guy from some other race used the exact same rationale that you're using, you'd be the first one crying about racism. Because you have a fragile ego. Because you're in constant pursuit
pursuit of validation from people you resent.
Which is an even bigger conversation that we don't have time for here. You have to pretend that the only time I've ever criticized Claressa Shields is based on her romantic life, because I can't criticize her boxing career, except I already have.
And when I did, you didn't say a motherfucking thing about it, because you can't.
Not in the business of manufacturing narratives to run with. Everything I said is true, searchable, verifiable.
And contextually, everything I've said is in keeping with every standard currently upheld in the sport of boxing. You just want me to treat her like it's different because of race.
A lot of people will tell you that Devin Haney has one of the weakest undisputed runs of any undisputed champion of the last 10 years. Why is that?
Because he only had to fight one guy to get there.
And it's the same with Claressa. At heavyweight, she only really had to fight one champion to become undisputed. It was the same at middle, it was the same at junior middle. So everything I'm saying is in keeping with the contextual standard you often see in the sport.
She didn't run a gauntlet of dangerous and difficult fights with dangerous and difficult fighters to win all those belts. Most of them were gift-wrapped and sent to her by the alphabet organizations.
And the divisions where she campaigns are the most barren in women's boxing, where at any given moment there are less than 100 active fighters.
Less than 100? There are less than 50.
So I'm supposed to be impressed that she's been hopscotching through these empty weight classes, picking up vacant titles?
I'm supposed to pretend that Danielle Perkins is the same caliber of opponent as a Chantel Cameron or a Natasha Jonas?
That she's on par with a Christina Linardatu and Amanda Serrano, and all of these esteemed professionals that a Katie Taylor has fought.
Why don't you just get the fuck out of my face with your insecurities?
I like that broad, go ahead. Stop begging me to do it.
Elsewhere in the world of boxing, Floyd Mayweather says, "I'm on my way," as Greece fight faces a legal threat.
Floyd Mayweather insists he's heading to Greece this week, despite a growing legal dispute that threatens to cast a shadow over the event. The undefeated boxing legend posted a direct message to Greek fans on Tuesday as preparations continue for his June 27th exhibition against kickboxing star Mike Zambidis in Athens. "I want to say thank you to everybody. I want to say thank you for all the support, Greece. I'm on my way. Let's entertain, let's have fun, and let's give the people what they want to see. Greece, I'm on my way."
Preparations?
Preparations for an exhibition that nobody gives a salient shit about, like most of these exhibitions that Floyd has staged in the years that have followed his retirement after the McGregory fight.
The exhibition with his old sparring partner, Don Moore. The exhibition with Deji, KSI's younger brother. The exhibition with Chalmers, a reality TV star in the UK. The more recent exhibition with John Gotti's grandson. Had two of those.
And I can go on because those ain't the only ones. This message arrived as growing dispute continues to swirl around several proposed Mayweather-linked events, including Mike Tyson and Manny Pacquiao. A recently surfaced arbitration filing involving claimants Jasprit Mathur
of Manny Pacquiao Promotions
and EMI Capital LLC centers on agreements linked to proposed Mayweather events involving Tyson and Pacquiao. The dispute names Jonah Rechnitz and entities connected to Frist Apex Ventures among the correspondence and forms part of an increasingly complicated picture surrounding Mayweather's exhibition plans. At the same time, social media posts linked to the matter have publicly alleged the rights connected to Mayweather's planned return to professional boxing were sold to separate event producers. The claims remain allegations, and Mayweather has not publicly addressed the latest filing. What he has done is continue promoting Greece. While arbitration proceedings continue elsewhere, Mayweather is acting as though June 27th remains firmly on track. All the while, yesterday's hearing that was scheduled for 2 p.m. Eastern Time on CSI's emergency request for an injunction to keep Floyd from having Saturday's exhibition in Greece has been postponed until Wednesday.
That's tomorrow.
And CSI were the ones intended to represent Floyd Mayweather for the Pacquiao rematch and the Tyson exhibition, whereas now they're suing him. So it's not just Jas Mathur and Manny Pacquiao Promotions going after Floyd, it's the same people that were intended to represent him as well, on top of everybody else he owes money. The Greece exhibition looks to be moving ahead while disputes linked to Tyson and Pacquiao continue to gather momentum. Whether those proceedings eventually affect any of the proposed events remains unknown, but Mayweather is showing no signs of changing course. Only weeks ago, attention centered on whether exhibitions involving Mike Zambidis, Manny Pacquiao, and Mike Tyson could coexist on the same schedule.
Well, it doesn't look like they can because he was supposed to have already done the exhibition with Mike Tyson weeks ago in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and that didn't happen.
Now the focus is on whether or not those plans can survive an increasingly public battle over the wider project. For now, Athens remains on the calendar with only days remaining until the first.
Until the first bell. Despite the growing controversy surrounding the dispute, Mayweather appears determined to keep the Greece event on course. His message to the Greeks remains unchanged. I'm on my way.
The irony is that the only exhibition he's managed to salvage is the one with the least known opponent, the least known fighter. Mike Zambidis is well known in kickboxing circles, but he's nowhere near as known as a Mike Tyson or a Manny Pacquiao. It's conceivable that Floyd would have received more money for Mike and more money for Manny than what he's about to get for Zambidis.
Nobody's buying that fucking pay-per-view.
It's happening the same weekend, the same day as Boots versus Zayas. Any hardcore boxing fan that plans on watching a boxing match that weekend, a big one, is likely going to put their money on that. Not Floyd doing a waltz with some retired kickboxer.
We've had our fill of novelty fights in the sport of boxing. They don't have the same allure that they used to. When it comes to Floyd Mayweather, least of all, he's not the draw that he once was.
Everything's got an expiration date.
May have found his. To make matters worse, he's facing some very serious charges for shortchanging the wrong people.
He is facing 2 felony charges for passing a bad check for $200,000 and faces very serious criminal charges on that situation. So, September is a long way away. He's got to figure out what's going to happen in terms of his freedom, because if he's convicted, he's looking at a lot of years in prison for fraud and the types of things you do when you write a bad check for $200,000 for a watch. Which I would tell you this: if you are in the type of financial trouble that Floyd is very obviously in, it has been well reported in a lot of different places, all the issues he's had. I've reported about our Internal Revenue Service has a tax lien against him for over $7 million related to unpaid taxes for a couple of years. He also has a $1 million judgment against him because of back child support, because he got pregnant a stripper at his now closed strip club, and he owes that woman money, I guess, for child support. There's been a bunch of other civil cases. I think it's at least 4, it might be more, for unpaid bills related to like apartment rentals and jewelry and usage of private jets. And he's got a lot of problems.
Almost couldn't believe it. This guy owes so many people money, he's bouncing checks to buy more watches, more jewelry. I almost wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt that maybe he buys the watch for $200,000, then flips it for $3,000.
Because it doesn't make any sense at all to still be making luxury purchases given how deep in the hole he is.
First thing he better do after Saturday, if he does get to have that Mike Zambidis fight, is cut those people a $200,000 check and get that monkey off your back.
Do it fast.
He's fucking up, and he's fucking up big time.
Big.
Is this how it ends for TBE? Floyd Money Mayweather, who's doing his best to put on a brave face and power forward with what still is his boxing career. At least according to him, he's on his way to Greece. The fight is going to go on in spite of what happens Wednesday, or what doesn't. So we'll see what happens either way. In men's heavyweight news, we're on now. Moses Itauma discusses upcoming fight with Filip Hrgovic! Moses Itauma has landed a good opponent in Filip Hrgovic, set for this August, and speaking to Talk Sport about the fight and bringing it all together, Itauma shares some thoughts on how he rates his upcoming opponent. Itauma, on how he views this fight with Hrgovic and how it came to be. I just focus on sticking to the game plan, and if it leads to a knockout, it leads to a knockout. If it don't, it don't. So I'm not really too focused on getting the knockout, but we'll see. It was actually going to be. So I'm ranked number 1 with the WBO. He's ranked number 2. And had Fabio won, he would have relinquished the title, and me and Hrgovic could have fought for that real world title. So I could have been a champion at 21, but we didn't get that accolade. But the Hrgovic fight still stands, so I'm happy I got that.
Frank Warren in Queensbury wanted so desperately for Moses Itauma to either match or surpass Mike Tyson's record as the youngest reigning heavyweight champion. They wanted him to do it by 20.
I knew that they wouldn't. I knew that they couldn't. The stars just didn't align for Moses to match or surpass that accolade.
He's 21 now, so the moment is gone.
But that doesn't mean he can't have a wildly successful boxing career in spite of that. I didn't think the fight was going to happen until maybe like last week or so, because we proposed the fight to him, and I kept asking every day, has he signed? Has he signed? Has he signed? Never signed. So we started looking at other opponents, and then it was like, maybe the end of last week he was like, actually, I want the bout agreement. So I was like, we're on now. I think he's very good, and I personally think he's one of the best of the crops. This guy's achieved a lot, so I guess the good thing in boxing is I can claim them achievements, if that makes sense. If Filip Hrgovic would have done all these great things, but if I'm able to do a number on him, then people are gonna say, yeah, Hrgovic is good, but did you see what Moses Itauma did to him? So it's just a respect thing, and kind of to boost my ego.
I really like that Itauma's answer about knockouts, that he just sticks to the game plan, and if it comes, it comes, and coincidentally, it does tend to come often.
Pause.
It's better if you exploit those openings organically to land punches that the opponent otherwise wouldn't see, because if you try to force it,
It may not happen, you may end up blowing your load, punching yourself out, next thing you know, you've put yourself in a precarious situation, that he lets it happen the way it's supposed to happen.
on its own.
That's what you want to hear. Boxing is for me a puzzle, and with the right preparation, I don't think there's a puzzle I can't solve, so I wouldn't necessarily say I fear anyone. It's just there are fights out there that might be easier than others.
I really like this fight for Moses Itauma. It's a slight step up in class from the guys that he's fought so far. When he fought Dillian White, Dylan was arguably more experienced against better opposition than Filip Hrgovic is now, but he was past it. He was shot.
Strong wind could have knocked that guy over. Then you think about the Jermaine Franklin fight. Now, Jermaine Franklin was younger and fresher than Dillian, but didn't pack a big enough wallop. He wasn't that big a puncher. Durable,
But not that big a threat.
a good litmus test, I would say, but Filip Hrgovic is in some ways better. He's statuesque, he's got long arms, he can punch a bit, he's got the pedigree.
Guy's got a case of permanent 5 o'clock shadow.
And a unibrow. I believe he won either the silver or the bronze in the Olympic Games. So he's not just an Olympian, he is a medalist.
And a dirty, dirty motherfucker.
Oh, he's a dirty motherfucker is what he is. So often, Filip Hrgovic's punches just so happen to sail to the back of his opponent's head.
Severely rattling their cages, knocking them off their equilibrium. A good number of his knockouts have come by way of those rabbit punches, deliberate or otherwise. It's a common theme in his fights. Will it happen with Moses?
Moses has more foot speed and more agility and more suddenness than 90% of the heavyweight division, so I'd say no. Moses cuts very good angles for a heavyweight. In the land of the lumbering lummoxes, this is one of the few fighters that's light on their feet and able to stay explosive. Boom. Filip would have the edge in experience. Moses, however, would have the edge in hand speed, and it's going to be noticeable. Maybe Filip Hrgovic lasts a bit longer than the other guys did, but I think this fight is going to end the same way the other fights did. I think Moses is going to stop him.
We'll talk more about it as the fight date approaches.